Oh my God, it is so good to be home. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I told my mom that my mom is here as well, and it's great to have her. So those of you that stood up, thank you very much for that. And I feel like I keep seeing people anew from a long time ago. I see Buzz. Buzz, it is great to see you. And I've said hi to a lot of you. So it is just really good to be home. And I thank you so much for your welcome, a welcome of me, and just making it feel so easy to come back in here. We had a meeting, Reverend Leslie and Ronnie and I, earlier this week, and we were just talking about things. Reverend Leslie asked me a couple of months ago if I'd be interested in speaking here today, and I said, of course, absolutely, positively, and I immediately thought of the title, There's No Place Like Home. And so what happens typically is that I'll start in one direction and then go a completely different direction, because what happened was later on I heard that song from Neil Diamond. And many of you know that I came out of the closet like a couple of years ago as a Neil Diamond fan. And I heard that song, and it so absolutely inspired me that I shifted everything. So instead of kind of going that Wizard of Oz direction where I would have come up with tons of metaphors in terms of coming home, we're going in the direction of Neil Diamond today. Because here's what is going on with that song that so touched me, because it's not necessarily a real cheery song, because he's talking about being stuck between two shores, that of LA and that of New York. He talks about really not having a home anymore, that both of these areas were once home to him, but now suddenly they don't feel that way anymore. And if you look a little bit more closely to this song, we realize that the home that he is seeking isn't necessarily something of a structure, but it is more of that internal divine feeling, that connection with spirit to something higher than the self, something greater than the self. And it touched me a lot because, I went off on this grand adventure of mine to San Jose to be an assistant minister there. And it kind of ran its season, as Reverend Rochelle would put it over there. I kind of ran my season, and it was time for me to return home. And a lot of things have changed for me. A lot of things in terms of being a minister and what that looks like, and having the confidence to one day be a senior minister somewhere. And so in a sense, he is singing about a state of conscious homelessness, where we grapple with questions of identity and meaning and a feeling of being separate, where we are in that place where the soul longs for that sense of home, but we're unable to find it. And so today, I'm going to be taking us through a little journey of coming home once again, and instead of just clicking our heels 3 times, I'm actually going to be sending us in a different direction today. I'm going to be speaking about, first, the spring cleaning of the soul, or making way for something new in our life, where we let go of some of those ideas and things that don't serve us any longer. And then I'm going to prepare ourselves for that huge leap of faith into into embracing the unknown, and then ultimately find a home as a place of wholeness in our life. Sound good? All right. Okay, so in physics, there is a concept attributed to Aristotle that is translated like in the phrase that nature harbors a vacuum. In other words, nature requires that every space is always filled, and that when something actually disappears, that void is automatically filled in. And this is at a conscious level as well, that when we are working through our own stuff, we are letting go of certain things in our life only to be filled in with something new once again. And so there is this very special story that I was thinking about that's very personal to me, that one of my greatest fears in life, I'm doing right now. Doing it right now. I'm up on this platform and addressing the people that I love, and there's something big around that. And years ago, I remember feeling a sense of dread to do this, and often feeling like I was a bit of an imposter, or that I was not enough, or that I wouldn't come across with my spiritual authority, or anything like that. And so, on top of that, there were people like Reverend Leslie and Reverend Karen Einhaus and Reverend Karen Russo that would do these remarkable talks. And I would often think, how can I do an inspiring talk just like they do? And that's what I would try to do. I would try to emulate them. And it would always fall flat when I tried to copy somebody else. But then a couple of years ago, what happened was Reverend Leslie did one of her epic talks, and I remember walking from here into my office, and not only was I inspired, but I was also a little defeated feeling. And I remember sitting down at my desk going, there is no possible way that I will ever be able to do that. There's no way that I could possibly put together such a talk like that that would inspire and create this energy in the sanctuary. And I just sat there, and then it came loud and clear, I can't do that. I can't do that. Do you remember me telling you that? I said, I can't do that. And here's the thing, and I know you religious scientists are just thinking right now, well then, and so it is. But there's a different idea behind this. Instead of a statement of inability, it was a statement of release. That no longer was I feeling anchored to this idea of emulating anybody. That I don't have to, thank you. That I don't have to emulate a Karen Einhaus, a Karen Russo, or a Leslie. Because there is somebody else that I can emulate. And that is Reverend Jeff Hargis. And so, and since that time, I feel like I have started honing my own unique creative skills in terms of what I bring up here on the platform. And although it's still always a work in progress, it's no longer anchored to that idea of trying to emulate somebody else, but to myself. And so when we begin to recognize those areas in our life that just aren't working anymore, we have this amazing gift of choosing to let go and see something new in its sparkling brilliance. And in order that we fully hear this and embody this, there is an uncomfortable idea behind it as well. And that is embracing the unknown, or the courage to redefine what we consider home. In order for that soul's journey home to continue, we often have to face some uncomfortable propositions that in this self-discovery and spiritual growth, there comes a point where we must embrace the unknown, the parts of ourselves and our lives that feel uncertain or uncharted or just plain uncomfortable, where the old definition of home and self fall away, making room for something new and more authentic to emerge. And I cannot emphasize more about this period in our lives. Does this sound familiar to us when we are at that point or that precipice of feeling that pain to a certain point that now we are willing to step forward and to begin living the vision of our life? Does that sound familiar? Yeah. And so that is a vital part of our evolution, of our spiritual goodness. And this redefinition requires courage, the courage to let go of the past identities, the roles and the expectations that we have of ourselves, and more importantly, those roles and expectations that others have for us, or society for that matter. And it brings me to a very important caution that I would like to put forth now, and that is that because the hidden behind the change may be some kind of unconscious influencer. Ernest Holmes brought forth the idea of race consciousness, and often what we refer to it now, I think, is more like the collective consciousness. And it is defined this way: collective thought patterns, beliefs, and attitudes that have been accepted and perpetuated by the human race over time. These collective beliefs form a sort of mental atmosphere that influence individual thought and behavior, often unconsciously. And so although this can be a positive thing for us, it also rears its head and promotes ideas of fear or lack and limitation, or prejudices or social norms, societal norms, things like that. And so so a couple of weeks ago, when I got here to Phoenix, I started, I reached out to a recruiter, and we started having a dialogue about finding a job, because I need a job when I got here. And so she started texting me some questions about what I was looking for, my expectations, what I had experience in. And she texted then the question, "What is your age?" And I had to pause for a little bit, because I think, 30 years ago that wouldn't have bothered me. And I'm like, it's not really an appropriate question to ask me, but I'm going to answer. I'm 54 years old. And so then we continued on with the dialogue. And then after that, she started to, she would send me a positive message every morning. Wednesday, August 7th. Good morning. I love the way your mind works. You're so incredibly smart yet humble at the same time. Keep learning and growing. And it was just slightly weird. It was kind of a slightly weird message to get, but then she followed it up with the doozy. Thursday, August 8th. Good morning. Remember, you're not old. You're just chronologically gifted. I did not ask for that. And after blocking her, I went down that portal and down that dark alley of, maybe I am societally thinking or speaking, maybe I am getting to that point where I'm too old to do the things that I used to do, that I'm not quite as sharp and quick and energetic. And then I stopped, and I breathed, and I recognized that I am a great age in my professional prime, that I am a great age to become a minister somewhere, or to be a consultant somewhere, or to be a contractor somewhere, and that there is no limit to what I can do here and now. So that although I went down that little dark alley for a little while, I self-corrected, and so I'm feeling okay with things how they are now, and I feel really good about losing her. And so as we pass through this process of clearing out the old and embracing the unknown, the journey to complete integration comes to the realization that the ultimate home that we seek is a home as wholeness. Wholeness is integrating all parts of ourselves, the light, the shadow, the good and the bad, all of those lessons that we have learned in our past that we bring forward into our present moment. It is a unified, harmonious whole. Home in its truest sense is the place where all aspects of our being come together in balance and in peace and in wholeness. And the concept of wholeness is a powerful one because it brings all of those things together. That we are always in a process of becoming complete. Every experience, every challenge, and every triumph contributes to that wholeness. Home is not a static destination, but a dynamic state of being where we are fully present, fully alive, and fully aware of our inherent divinity. There is a story of a potter who has been doing his, we'll call it a ministry, for many, many years. And he produces some of the most spectacular, perfect, flawless pots. And there came a point where he was beginning to feel stagnant in his work, and he came up with this amazing idea to take one of the pots and just throw it on the ground, and then pick up those pieces and start piecing it back together again, using gold as that adhesive to bring the pot back together. And so this is a Japanese practice of, I gotta look at that one because it's a Japanese word. Kintsugi, I think, is what the art form is called. And it has this wonderful metaphor that regardless of all the broken pieces that we have created in our life, we are formed back again together to create something that is even more beautiful, more perfect, more whole. And so today I have 3 invitations for us. Kind of spiritual practice, if you will, yet it's more, or a few of them are more in that place of the material world. But the first is to do some sort of spring cleaning in our home, whether it is a closet that has been denied, that is totally out of order, or our bedroom, or our office, or somewhere that is out of order, begin that process of cleaning up. I think this is a Mary Manny Morrissey kind of thing, to create a void that will be filled by something else. The second is to change up the routine. Change it up. Take a different route to work. That would be hard for you. It's a pretty straight shot. Totally different route to work, or call somebody and tell them you love them, or switch out the morning coffee with a big glass of water. I know that one's a bit challenging. And then the third one is to practice gratitude for everything that has brought you to this moment in your life. All the flaws, the cracks and the bruises, the perceived mistakes, and rejoice in the beauty and the masterpiece that you have created. So as I conclude today, I invite you to reflect on the journey that we've taken together. A journey from a sense of spiritual homelessness to a profound understanding of what it truly means to come home. As a master mystic, Neil Diamond states, "I am, I said. I am that I am. I am that joy, that love, that wholeness. I am an instrument of the divine, and I am home once again." And there's no place like it. Let's take that into prayer. And so in that deep breath of life, I recognize my infinite presence no matter where I am. I can find myself in front of challenges. I can find myself in front of those that I love. I can find myself on a journey that is absolutely brand new, and still lean into that absolute reality that I am home. That there is nothing I can do to displace me. And so I lean into that faith, that recognition, that absoluteness as I speak a word into this service today, knowing that each one of us are on that unique journey in and of ourselves. That as we step forth into this day, we do so in that absolute spirit of the divine one that is guiding us, that is guarding us, that is protecting us. And it is done with such ease and grace. And I know this truth for each one of us today. I know a special gratitude for everyone that is here, for all that this community has walked through in this place of thriving, of goodness, of unconditional love. I give grateful thanks. And I release this word into that universal law that says, yes, just as you wish, it is so. I release this word and call it good in faith. And so it is.